All right. Okay, shalom everyone. I'm just kind of filling in for Oriya today, since she's on vacation. She's on the road right now. So it might look a little bit different. I'm hoping this will be a like a group effort. Um, so we'll like kind of do what we normally do. We'll just break up the chapter and take turns reading, and then we'll just have some discussion. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
all right. Does anybody want to pray us in? Oh, we got a couple people coming in here. All right. All right. So Oriya is on listening. All right. Would anybody like to open in prayer? No? Hi, Jackie. Shalom.
I'm happy to, shalom to you. I'm happy to pray. Probably not near as good as some of the prayers we get in here, but we don't need to compare, do we?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Abba Father, first off, I just want to thank you so much for your greatness and your goodness in our lives, Yah. You continue to bless us and continue to provide for us and continue to give us every need that we have. And we're just so undeserving for that, especially this fellowship, Yah. And I just thank you so much for this group. Father, we ask that you open our hearts to receive your word today. Help us understand the wisdom that your Ruach is trying to, or that your Ruach is providing for us today, Lord. And we just want to come together and seek your face and seek your truth and know you and experience you, the fullness of you, as close as we can. Thank you for Haley stepping in. We ask that you provide her clarity and the confidence in hearing your answers and responses to give to the group. And we lift her up. We lift up everyone in this group. And we ask for an open heart to fully receive you today. And we lift you up and we praise you, Father, and we thank you and we bless you. And we say all these things in Yahusha's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. So who might volunteer to read today?
I can do that too.
Okay, Jackie. Anybody else? No? Oh, Gare? All right. I think we'll start with verses 1 through 7. Um, Jackie, do you want to start reading verses 1 through 7?
I can. Yes, I am just getting there. I apologize.
And we're on chapter 6, if anybody doesn't know yet. We're in Sirach chapter 6.
1 through 7, correct, Haley? Oh, all right. Do not become an enemy instead of a friend, for you shall inherit an evil name, shame, and reproach, even as a sinner that has a double tongue. Do not exalt yourself in counsel of your own heart, that your being be not torn in pieces as a bull. You shall consume your leaves and lose your fruit, and leave yourself as a dry tree. A wicked being shall destroy he who possesses, and shall cause him to be laughed and scorned by his enemies. Sweet words shall multiply friends, and a favorable tongue shall increase kind greetings. Be at peace with many, but have just one counselor in 1,000. If you would get a friend, prove him first, do not be hasty to trust him.
Right, thank you. Does anybody have anything that jumped out to them or that they want to share? No? No? All right. I'll just say I'm not like I don't want to come off as a teacher. I'm not gonna probably be able to give as much insight as Oriel would usually do, but I will try my best. Rather just think of it like a big group discussion, not really a teaching necessarily. So, the first thing that I did, oh, Jer, yeah, do you want to share?
Yeah, what stood out for me is like be at peace with many, nevertheless have but one counselor of 1,000. So it just basically seems to emphasize that we should be very scrutinizing about who we listen to and the teachings and the ones that we consider as advisors in our lives.
Mhm.
So, that's what stood out to me. Because
Yeah,
there's this days, especially with social media, you have 1,000 advisors in one instead of one in 1,000, it seems. It's the other way around. So,
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Um, so I looked up the verse. It says, "A bull that wanders alone," or I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, where was that verse? Is it verse 2? Let's see. Um, Extol not yourself in the counsel of your own heart, that your soul shall be not be torn in pieces as a bull straying alone. And I thought to myself, that's kind of weird. Like a bull seems to me like pretty powerful. Like who's gonna mess with a bull? So I looked that up and I found out that like a bull that wanders alone is actually really vulnerable and easily attacked. So I took that passage of like basically saying when a person isolates themselves like in their own way of thinking without like seeking advice of trusted counsel, like Proverbs 27:17, it says iron sharpens iron. So um, if you're not seeking that trusted counsel and having humility, then you can easily be led astray or even hurt. Um, so that's the first thing that I really caught. Um, and I looked up a couple of definitions. Reproach, in verse 1, it says, "For thereby you shall inherit an ill name, shame, and reproach." And what reproach means is an expression of disapproval. And then it says, "Even so shall a sinner that has a double tongue," which means like someone who doesn't keep their word or someone who says one thing and then does another. Um, so that's just something that I noted. Um,
I couldn't find my hand as quick as I could really find my mute, or my unmute, but in verse 4, I don't know if let me go back and read it real fast because did is there something that goes to say about like, and maybe this is change of subject, sorry, Haley, but does this go off of well actually shall destroy he who possesses and shall cause him to that's not what I'm getting at. Hold on a minute. Sorry, my bad. I'm muting.
well, while she's looking for that, I'll just read some other notes that I took. I wrote down regarding verse 3, Psalm 1, verses 1 through 16. So I'll read that. Mm. I should have had that ready. Sorry. So verse 3, why I'm referencing it, verse 3, you shall eat up your leaves and lose your fruit and leave yourself as a dry tree. And I think trees, a lot of times when a tree is referenced, it's talking about like a person or their life or their spiritual condition. Um, and we all know that fruit is like your actions or your works or your deeds. Um, and the leaves, I had to look that one up. I wasn't quite sure what it would mean spiritually, but um, I know at least in a literal sense, the leaves they sustain the tree through photosynthesis, and gives it life and health. So I thought that that was interesting, like really cool. But Psalm 1 verses 1 through 16, that's not right. Because there's no, oh my goodness. Maybe it's 1 through 6 is what I meant to say. I'm sorry. Well, it says, blessed is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wicked, and shall not stand in the path of sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the Torah of Yahuwah, and he meditates on his Torah day and night. For he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that yields its fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither. And whatever he does prospers. The wicked are not so, but are like chaff which the wind blows away. Therefore the wicked shall not rise in the judgment, nor the sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked comes to nothing. So I thought that was really cool in relation to that. And I wrote like when a prideful person or lives according to their own unchecked desires, then they slowly consume their own life and lose their ability to produce good fruit and end up basically spiritually empty. And that's what I got from that. Jackie, were you ready?
Yeah, I got my notes mixed up there for a little bit too, but Jerry was kind of talking about, I guess we were kind of reading the remnant for prayers or prayers for the remnant or some of those books together that we had got, some of us had been talking about. But it kind of also talks about our speech and the power of our tongue and stuff like that. And like there in verse 5, pleasant speech multiplies friends, and a gracious tongue increases goodwill.
Mm.
And to me, how you speak and how you respond and how you treat others, um, I think that that can have a significant impact on just in our group of fellowship with one another and empowering each other and uplifting each other, or even creating unnecessary doubt, and or all sorts of things. And um, I believe it kind of showed in here too that wisdom is, you can kind of see wisdom in someone based on how they treat someone and stuff like that too. And you can kind of test them by their fruit on if they're somebody that can have weight in your life too. And we can just watch in that fellowship. And I don't know, kind of like too, as the group has gotten bigger and stuff like that too. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling and not making too much sense,
No.
but I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're
Um,
making sense is you're not rambling. I said you're making sense.
oh, okay. Yeah, and so just the power of our speech and uplifting one another and sharing that wisdom with one another, um,
Hmm.
being wise in our own words, and the fact that we really can tear people down or build them up. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had that almost exact thing in my notes as well. Yeah, gentle speech draws people in. Um, yeah. But also not everyone drawn to you is a friend too. You have to really be wise. You know, I'm I feel like I'm just reading ba off my notes and it's really awkward for me, but I'm sorry. But yeah, verse 6, be in peace with many, nevertheless have but one counselor of 1,000. So basically, I understand that as saying like use discernment. It's good to be kind and peaceful, but it's not wise necessarily to trust everyone or give access to like your inner, your innermost parts with everyone, necessarily. Yeah, go ahead.
Everybody else is so quiet too. It's maybe it's because I'm talking. I'll share this with people, with you guys. Me and Tina has been talking about a lot about how the enemy works, and the enemy can hear plans, or whatever. And he can use that information. There's been a lot that I feel that the father has been telling me to keep reserved and not to disclose, whether it's with someone in my family or whatever, especially some works he's got that the father's got going on. And it was just very quite interesting because one of my flesh and blood, one of my sisters, I've already felt like I should be reserving my what I'm saying, but every time we talked, it was like she was prying for information, and it was getting very hard to manage these conversations. And then finally, I told her the day before yesterday or whatever that listen, I'll be quite honest with you, I feel led to not speak, and every time you drive asking questions, it's making me like not even want to hang out with you because like you're making it hard. I
Mm.
tried telling her very specifically, I'd love to talk, but let's not ask personal questions about my in and out thinking. She wants to know every detail of what I'm thinking, what my plans are, the ins and outs of my life, and the decisions that I'm making. And it's very quite strange. And I was like, I told her no, like this it didn't even feel right. But then I asked her to respect the boundary. And then the very next day, she came back again and said, I'm gonna say this again. I love you. I want to know everything about you and all the way. And I'm like, look, I just asked you to respect the boundary and you're not. And so it's almost like I don't know. And Tina said too that as we get closer to the high feast and the Pesach and stuff, the enemy's attack starts to rumble things. And it's just really weird that this morning's topic was also a lot on speech and who to let to speak into your life and stuff like that too, for
Yeah.
in my own connection with what's going on in my own life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure frustrating. Thank you for sharing that. Let me read a couple comments, and then I'll call on you, Jer. Um, oh, bear with me. I'm sorry this looks different from, oh, so Uriah said that the leaves for the healing are for the healing of nations in Revelation 22. Um, sh and she said, can anybody else view the comments? Can somebody read the comments from Oria? I can't, the view on my end is a little weird.
I can.
Yeah.
The leaves for the healing of the nations in Revelation 22. Leaves take the energy of the sun and make it usable. So our leaves are to take wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh and distill it, to make it usable and to share it with the nations. And then last week we spoke about the wicked, foolish man who winnows with every wind. People who are unstable in their faith. They will also open themselves to the counsel of many, listening for what feels good. They have many counselors because they really don't have an internal guiding light.
Yeah.
Like going which way the wind blows.
Yeah.
Like politicians, that's what politicians do. Whichever way the wind's blowing. Yeah, that's what I support too,
Mhm.
till the wind changes direction. Oh, now I support this. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, while I'm got my mic open, I was going to reply to Jack one before I forget. Uh, just some, possible advice. I found it very effective method to deal with people that are inquiring about a lot of things is to answer their questions with a question. For example, why is it important for you to know that particular thing, to your sister? Why are you so, interested? And let them be the ones to disclose their heart and get like ferreted out. Like, why is this so important to you? For what purpose? Without accusing them, just saying you're genuinely interested. Why does this fascinate you so much? What is your bottom line here? I mean, because it's a thing that's done in the legal world. You just turn it around on them and you answer a question with a question, and it really is good if somebody's interrogating you. It's very effective. So just wanted to give that 2 cents worth.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, and I've done that also from experience. It really, I think, makes people like stop and think for a minute, like about maybe even their own like intentions, you know? So yeah, that's good. Let's see. Does anybody else have anything else to say on this little section before we move on? I think we pretty much covered. Okay, so Kim, did oh, you put your hand down.
Yeah, sorry, Sinead and I were having a laugh here, and I hope we didn't think we were laughing at you. I kept saying to Sinead, why is this Jenna Vivian not speaking on the mic when you're asking people to talk? And then I realized it was
Well, she does have a hand raised, but she's driving in a car.
yeah,
Right.
no, I keep saying, why isn't, I mean, you're asking people to talk, and why isn't Jenna Vivian? So if you saw us laughing, we weren't laughing at anyone in the group. It was just me being stupid. I couldn't. Sorry
That's
about
funny.
that.
Please speak, Oria.
All right, yeah. So I'm in the car with my family, so I'm not going to be able to talk much. But one of my favorite, I don't know, sections in this little section is talking about the person who operates in pride and then ending up being like a dry tree. Because it gives me such like a profound visual of we're meant to be this life-giving body with beautiful leaves and fruit that are for like external things, and just picturing some like a tree basically turning around and grabbing the fruit and consuming it, and how basically operating in pride, um, core of what that does to everything that is your nature, of like everything that is supposed to be beautiful, everything that is supposed to be good, um, the blessings, the giftings, all of the things that are supposed to blossom and giving, um, source within you, and the being consumed by the tree itself, which is like a complete not how a tree is supposed to function. And so I don't know, it just always gave me like a really interesting visual of a tree reaching out and picking its own fruit to consume it, and how that's so against the tree's nature. Um, oh, and Addie wants to say hi. Hi, Bobby. Uh, but that was it. That was it. I really loved that section. But yeah, I have to go back on mute, and I'll be here if something's like really needing to be said on my tongue. But yeah. All
Thank
right.
you.
Shalom.
Thank you. All right. The last thing that I had written on my notes is just like for overall, well, like, well, verses 5 through 7. I wrote that, we're it's basically saying that, teaching that we should be kind and at peace with everyone, but not to confuse kindness with trust. Real friendship should be tested over time and not just given away quickly. Um, so we can move to, do you want to do, Jared, do you want to read? Um,
From 7 till what?
from
or 8
We read
or
7,
7?
yeah. 8 to 12.
For some man is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of your trouble. And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover your reproach. Again, some friend is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of your affliction. But in your prosperity, he will be as yourself and will be bold over your servants. If you be brought low, he will be against you and will hide himself from your face. Sounds like a fair weather friend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I basically, what I got from that was basically like a warning, that, some people are only friends when it benefits them. Um, but, they won't necessarily always be there for you, like through your own hardships and trials. That's what I got from that. Does anybody else want to share anything on that?
Well, it's interesting that in the business world, that type of relationship is actually encouraged to, you know, if you should seek out people that can benefit you and make associations and alliances with people and take what you can get and move on to the next group. So it's the exact opposite. It should be no surprise. The ways of the world is the exact opposite of what the scriptures teach us. But that is definitely a go-to plan for people to succeed in business is to really use your networking to your benefit, and that's being wise and everything and should be emulated. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the condition of the world, I think. Does anybody else want to share anything? Mm, okay, we'll go to, I guess I could read 13 through 17. It says, separate yourself from your enemies and take heed of your friends. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that has found such one has found treasure. Uh, Nothing countervails a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable. A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear Yahuwah shall find him. Whosoever fears Yahuwah shall direct his friendship aright, for as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. I think that one is pretty straightforward. A true friend is rare, but it's also a gift from Yah, so it's a special thing when you find it. Does anybody else have anything to share? Yes, Kim, please. Thank you.
Just that a verse, I think it was 14. A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that has found such one has found a treasure. There's a saying, old saying that says, if you're lying in your deathbed and you can count your true friends on one hand, you've had a very fruitful life. And
Mhm.
that's very much the same. It's just saying, friends are so few and far. I mean, genuine friends. As Sinead said, that, you'll know your friends in a time of need. And I mean, verse 10 says, and again, some friend is a compassion at the table and will not continue in the day of your affliction. So the day you are really in need of phoning a friend, say, listen, I'm in need, can you help me? No, sorry, I have to do this or do that. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's
It's actually hard so.
it's actually hard so that
Yeah.
we can't be true friends. We always want to gain something or get something from people, but you don't want to give back. So yeah,
Mhm.
very difficult. Anyway,
Yeah. 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 I had some friends that I used to Bible study with a lot, and I considered them like really good friends, but it seems like the more I shared with them, through this journey of like, relearning, um, I felt like them, just getting more and more distant. Until one day my friend said, you know, I just don't feel like I can relate to you anymore. And I was like, what? Like, essentially, she was saying because she's not agreeing with exactly everything that I'm learning, that, you know, now our friendship is severed. And so that really hurt. Like, someone that I really thought was a friend, and we fellowshipped a lot together in the past. And then just to, you know, hear that's hard. So yeah, it's finding that true friend who will, you know, walk through things with you. It's hard. It's hard to find. Yeah, Jer.
Yeah, I always or often get reminded of that Cyndi Lauper song, Your True Colors Will Come Shining Through. So many people show their true colors in times that, through life, but oftentimes it it takes time. Like you can be with someone for years, and then at some point, though, their true colors will come through. And it's, you know, you don't want to be so guarded that you close people off, but then you don't want to be, I always say, don't be so open-minded that all your brains fall out.
Mm-hmm.
So you, it's just a balancing act again that you want to let people in, but I mean, it's personally, it's cost me so much because I've trusted people too quickly or too extensively that they hadn't earned it. And people right away when you meet them, well, don't you trust me? Don't you trust me? No, no, I don't. And you shouldn't be upset with that. And you shouldn't trust me either. Trust is so valuable, so precious
Yeah.
that you shouldn't scatter it freely to everybody. Like something that's cheap and discardable, you can freely spread it around.
Mm-hmm.
But when you guard trust and you consider how valuable I mean, I think it's one of the most important things in any relationship is trust. So you treat it with the reverence and dignity and everything that it deserves. And you're not a bad person for not trusting someone. It has to be earned in my book. You can have faith in someone. I call faith having, it's like a grace period. You give people faith to work out the time that they can prove that they're trustworthy. And I do the same thing. Like, don't trust me, but let time and actions and prove it or not, whatever. But I do not expect anybody to trust me right away. I think it's foolish. Not that I'm not trustworthy, but you know, that's what I got on the trust thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
so precious that I just don't give it to anybody. So
Yeah. Are there any comments that need to be read? I can see that there's some coming through. Um, if somebody can read if there's comments there, I can see that there's comments, but it's like really small on my end for some reason.
I can read it again. It says, it's Jenna again, Araya. I've had to learn this the hard way. I've been a naturally very open person, quick to open myself and my life to others without testing them first. Grateful Abba is teaching me wisdom in this. And then I'm thankful for the friendships being forged through this fellowship.
Yeah,
Likewise.
me too. We love you. Jerry.
Well, I kind of debated on saying this or not because it could be maybe somewhat sensitive to some people, but I feel the most important friendship is with your spouse and in your marriage, and that's
Yeah.
also based off of trust and um, it being brought together by the Father. So that's to me that's the biggest friendship, and you should be best friends with your spouse, and that's probably how it started, anyways, was some sort of friendship, but.
Mhm.
That's what come to my mind.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Jackie.
Funny he said that because I just reached out to Sinette and I'm like, okay, we need to like start being friends. So um Oh gosh. We kind of talk about people, the enemy's attacks and how he works, and it is through those untrusted friends. It is through the misguided counsel, and stuff like that. And one thing aside from my best friend, Jerry, I have another best friend. It's Corey. He's my boss. He's been a spiritual mentor for me for 10 years or better. But what's really great is he is that fine ruby, because he is that friend, that 1 in 1,000 that um helps keep me he helps me centered. So anytime it's work related or family or life or anything, he's always pointing it back onto me and looking like in my inward parts and where Jackie, can peel back her layers and respond appropriately or differently or whatever. And it's just really cool how I just am testifying and the greatness of the Father in my life for giving me uh that too. And one thing that I've noticed, giving me a second friend to help mentor through, one thing that I have noticed too with some of my close friends, which I have a very, very tiny circle, and even in that tiny circle, that the spirits, the fruits always being watched and tested. And one thing that I appreciate most that the Father will do for me is he will keep us in line. So the Spirit could already be working on me in a certain area, and then Corey starts to unravel in his area, or which he still goes to a Christian church and all that stuff, but his sermon will be directly relatable to some, and it's just something is always connecting. Or just even like right now, something else that we're going through, his devotion was lined right up to our conversation that we had yesterday. And those little winks, those little alignments for me help, like with a confirmation throughout a friendship, that this person is still a safe place, this, and as long as that person is continuing to challenge me and not adding the yeast to that bread to multiply it, then that's a good safe person. And so I do thank the Father for having those type of friendships. But that's how I watch it, is the alignment and how Yah is working in my life and speaking in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think it's good to have a friend that will really keep you accountable and not just like, be agreeable with you all the time. And yeah, somebody that will really just say like, hey, maybe you're not exactly right here, whatever the case. It's good to have that kind of friend. You need that kind of friend. Anybody else on this section? I think we can read, Jackie, if you want to read 18 through 23.
Okay. My son, gather instruction from your youth onward, so you shall gain wisdom till your old age. Come to her as one that plows and sows, and wait for her good fruit. For you shall not toil much in laboring over her, but you shall eat of her fruit soon enough. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He who is without understanding shall not remain with her. And I forgot what verse you said to read toward.
To 23.
23. She shall lay upon him as a mighty stone of trial, and he shall throw her from him before long. For wisdom is according to her name, and she is not revealed to many. Listen, my son, receive my advice, and do not refuse my counsel.
Nice. Thank you.
Maybe 24, since it's a comma. And put your feet into her
Oh,
shackles and
yeah.
your neck into her chain. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Does anybody want to share? Um, Yeah. I wrote down, wisdom doesn't come instantly. It requires submission, endurance, and patience. And wisdom is available, but it must be pursued intentionally by an individual. It can't be forced on by anyone. Um, what verse was it? Verse 20, it says, she is very unpleasant to the unlearned. If somebody is not ready to receive truth, if they don't desire that in their heart, then yeah, it's going to sound like foolish to them. Someone's really gonna want to, you know, want to seek out that wisdom. Yes, Jer.
Well, I think like in the grand scheme of society right now, with all this talk and rhetoric about hate speech, it's what's hate is the truth, wisdom, common sense. It's getting censored right across all platforms. So the world really does hate wisdom. It's very unpleasant for them. They
Mm,
don't want to hear it. They don't want to discuss it. They want to silence it. And it's so evident. I mean, I've lived a long time, but I've never seen it so prevalent right now that the world just abhors being confronted with the sin. And I mean, it's hard to believe. I just like to make the example. Can you imagine taking somebody like from 30 or 40 years ago and telling them that, you know, the Olympics are gonna, well, not they disbanded, but there's gonna be men pretending to be women competing in women's sports. They
mhm.
would look at you like, no, that's not possible. Like, you got to be crazy. Like, to even think that we have to debate a gender is, it blows my mind. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, like, that's the absurdity of it, how bad it is
Mhm.
that this is even a topic of debate.
Yeah.
It's, and then for you to even think that it, and mention that, you're hateful. Like, it's just so upside down backwards. And it is getting increasingly difficult to stomach for sure. But I mean, I can't even imagine what Yahweh is feeling about this. Uh, the old saying, if Yahweh if doesn't come back to like take care of this, he's gonna have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah,
Mm.
like it's so bad. And so anyway, just wanted to mention that about
Yeah.
the unpleasantness of wisdom in the world's eyes.
Yeah. Ori commented, I absolutely remember when wisdom mocked me. Walking in ignorance, she was sure in her discipline. I walked so close to destruction. Oh, see, I'm sorry, I can't read the rest of it. Can somebody else read that?
I'm uh, close
This,
to destruction. I'm so grateful she revealed herself against me in those times. I'm grateful Abba opened my eyes to how desperately I needed to seek her.
yeah, yeah, me too. Mm. Jared, do you want to read verses 24, well, I guess 25 through 31?
Sure. Bow down your shoulder and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds. Come unto her with your whole heart, and keep her ways with all your power. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto you. And when you have got hold of her, let her not go. For at the last you shall find her rest, and that shall be turned to your joy. Then shall her fetters be a strong defense for you, and her chains a robe of glory. For there is a golden ornament upon her, and her hands are purple lace. You shall put her on as a robe of honor, and shall put her about you as a crown of joy.
Thank you. Amen. So to me that sounds like something that's like uh, something that binds you, tests you, um, and disciplines you. And at first it can feel like, discipline. It can feel restrictive or uncomfortable or burdensome. But what starts out as burdensome ends up becoming fruitful and beneficial. Jam.
Yeah, I saw it as it seems like it clothes you, it decorates you, it makes you, not that you're doing it for that, but those who are wise, even though they may not have a great attire and $2,000 suit or something, they look adorned, they look regal, they look special. So, it talks about all the chains and gold. So it basically decorates you to be an admirable person,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to wear wisdom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like that. Anybody else? I wrote down for this section that wisdom isn't something that we just receive, it's something that we're trained in. And at first it can feel hard or restrictive, but over time it becomes something that strengthens us, honors, and blesses us. And foolishness feels easy at first, but it leads to destruction. And wisdom, it feels hard at first, but it can lead to life. And I wrote down some scriptures to support that idea as well. I might ask a couple people to read. I will go to Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12. If somebody can grab Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, and Hebrews 12, chapter 11. Um, so, Proverbs 14, 12. It says, "There is a way which seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death." And then also chapter 16 in verse 25. "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end," so it's the same thing, "is the way of death." Jer.
I just wanted to mention something, going back to the adornment that wisdom gets you. It just struck me, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, that the world and the politicians and people, even on social media, what is the imagery that they are assigned with their foolishness? They're a clown. The exact opposite. Everybody, like, it's a thing. Like, you just put there's a clown. What a clown. It's a clown world.
Yeah.
So the world's speakers are clowns, but the speakers of Yahweh are regal and honorable. And so, but because clown world is so prevalent, like it's such a big thing. It's just everybody's called a clown. And, the politicians are all clowns. They wear clown masks, or they're shown to be imposed on them what they're doing, and it's like they're putting on a clown show, which is so opposite of what the wisdom does for us. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Kim?
So I read Matthew 7, 13, 14, you said.
Yes.
Okay. Enter ye in at the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be which go in there it. Because narrow is the gate, and troublesome is the way which leads to life, and few there be that find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
15 is quite
And then
relevant as well.
Hebrews 12. Does somebody have that, or I can flip over to it really quick?
I think Gary's got it for you.
Okay, thank you.
What was it one more time? Hebrews what? 11?
12:11.
12, 11. Jackie told me backwards. And indeed, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but grievous. But afterward, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it.
Yeah. Thank you. Those were just some verses that I noted that kind of support those verses that we just went over in chapter 6. All right, so where did we leave off? 31. So I will read verses 32 through 37. My son, if you will, you shall be taught, and if you will apply your mind, you shall be prudent. If you love to hear, you shall receive understanding, and if you bow your ear, you shall be wise. Stand in the multitude of elders, and cleave unto him that is wise. Be willing to hear every holy discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape you. And if you see a man of understanding, get you early unto him, and let your foot wear the steps of his door. Let your mind be upon the ordinances of Yahuwah, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish your heart and give you wisdom at your own desire. Anything jump out to anybody there? I wrote down, if you're willing to listen, you will receive instruction, and in turn, you will become wise. Wisdom begins with heart posture, willingness, humility, and teachability, not like intelligence or attitude. Jackie, yes.
I like where it said, I think it was in 32, to apply your mind. And I think that's so easily said. But I think that the application is intense. I think that it requires a determination in that application of your mind, because it's constant mind control. It's constant um, taking thoughts captive and operating from that higher level, and then seeking and keeping it set on him the whole time, and that guards the heart, and just like all of that. Apply your mind and you will become prudent. I thought that just
Yeah, that's good.
spoke out to me a little bit there.
Thank you. Jerry.
I like 36. It says that if you see a man of understanding, get you early unto him and let your foot wear the steps of his door. That to me just like saying be eager and ambitious to learn and take wisdom from someone that offers it. Just be there every minute that you can, learning and gaining wisdom from the wise people that's in your life.
Mhm. Thank you. Oria?
So going off of what Jackie had said about the mind, so the Hebrew word for mind isn't in the original Old Testament of like love Yahuwah with all your heart, soul, and strength. And then Messiah adds in mind into that. And so that word for mind in Hebrew is the same word. It's often used as soul, because it's not just talking about your conscious thoughts, it's talking about your subconscious thoughts. So like most of our actions and most of what we do comes from our subconscious mind. And so when we consciously, like, so there's a difference between consciously surrendering your thoughts versus having your mind so surrendered to the Most High that even your subconscious thoughts are ruled and conditioned by Him. And so it's a complete different sort of like, a lot of people, I guess, just think of the mind as like your information processing and like what you're aware of your brain doing, but it goes so much deeper into like your soul, into the root of who you are and how your brain processes information, not just the information itself, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Kim?
Yeah, just tying up with what Jerry said there in verse 36. If you go back to verse 6, ties up very much with being in peace with many, nevertheless have but one counselor of 1,000. And that's also the same as if you know what Jerry said, and if you see a man of understanding, get you early unto him, and let your foot wear the steps of his door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so just the relevance of those two that basically say the same thing, really. I just thought it was quite relevant.
Yeah, thank you. I think another little note I wrote down regarding verse 35 is don't be selective with truth. Don't dismiss things too quickly. Hold on to wisdom when you hear it. And this requires attention and yes, requires attention. Jackie?
As we were talking about what Oriya and I had called out there, fix your mind. I don't remember what it was again. But either way, it tells us it ends with exactly, let your mind be upon the laws of Yahuwah and consider his commands continuously, and he shall establish your heart and give you the wisdom you desire. So, I mean, that's just like the cap of, I guess, what Oriya and I were saying, I guess, there on 37.
Yeah, thank you. Jer.
I just wanted to comment on what Araya had written in the comments that pride in this world looks at the bonds of wisdom as too high a price. They don't want to be ruled. They want to do their own will. Bowing to wisdom is releasing your own will. Being a slave to wisdom is following her ways. Her bonds give us access to the things of the Ruach. Serving her gives us access to Yahuwah. Her fruits, her treasure are not of this world, but of the Ruach. Those who strive for things of this world will not see wisdom as worthwhile. It struck me, it's interesting. I mean, people think that they're free and they're doing their own will, but in reality, the whole world is a slave to sin and serving and never been more brainwashed and unaware of what's going on and being led like lemmings to the slaughter, all the while thinking that they're free. Like, and the scriptures teach, like, you cannot serve two masters, either be a serve the one or the other. So we are slaves to either wisdom or to the world. And even if you think that you're free and you're doing your own thing, you really aren't. So it's probably wise to be a slave to wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, it was just the idea that people think that, oh, I'm not going to be a slave to wisdom. Okay, so you're going to be a slave to sin then. Okay. But they don't realize that. You know, it's self-delusion is the greatest delusion of all. So just want to mention that.
Yeah, definitely. Kim?
It's me. So just to come back to what the discussion is about today, I want to go back to Matthew 7 that you highlighted, but I actually want to read verse 15. But beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are savage wolves. And I think that is very relevant to what the discussion is, because that's what we have. You think you've got somebody that is you can trust, like Jackie was saying earlier on, in work relations, if you want to call it like that, but they are in sheep's clothing. And there's more of those for me currently than that you can actually have a true friend, a true person. That's why I'll rather trust Kim before I trust anybody else. This is who the person who I'm trusting. It's the only way that you actually can, in our life, that you can go through. Because like he said, by the age of, actually not even when you die, by the age of 50, how many people can you call and say is true friends? We've been there and we're alone. And it's all right, because we are walking the walk with the most important person in the world right now, and it's Abba Father. You can't go your walk any other way.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Yeah. Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. All right. Does anybody else want to comment on that? I think just my overall highlights for that section there was just be teachable, be around wise, listen carefully, seek wisdom actively, and meditate on Yah's ways. That's basically what I got out of that whole chunk. And I think like I wrote down a note for like the overall highlight of the chapter. I wrote, it shows us that both our downfalls and our growth starts within. But wisdom is what guards our life. It shapes our relationships and it leads us into something stable and fruitful. And it comes through humility, discipline, and staying close to Yah and those who walk with him. All right. And that is all of chapter 6. Yes, Jer.
I just couldn't help but, just maybe seek the counsel of the group here. Because when we're talking about wisdom, one cannot help but think of Solomon, right? He's like the poster boy for wisdom. Yet then his fall at the end, it's a mind-boggling thing to think of it. Like the one who's considered the most wisest human in the world, and yet he fell and sinned and stuff. And that just has always been quite perplexing to me. I don't know if anybody has any 2 cents to add
Yeah.
on that. It's quite the thing.
It's because he took his focus off of the father at the end there. You know, he was kind of swayed towards the false gods of his wives. And so that's kind of, I think that's actually the scripture says that kind of specifically. He fell because he sought after his wives gods and
Kind of like the same thing Adam did, eh?
yeah.
Women are the downfall of humankind, is what you're trying to say, Haley? No, no. But I know that's what he did. But you think, would not wisdom have prevented him from making those choices? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to explain what he did,
Yeah.
but it's why did he do that? Like, wow, it still blows my mind. So.
Yeah.
So if
Jackie.
he fell,
Oh.
we should definitely not be proud. I mean, my goodness. So anyway.
Jackie.
Yeah, Jer, I mean, you kind of right on that. And that's one thing that I've noticed as I started a wisdom journey through the Old Testament, going through like the kings and the prophets and stuff. Like the kings fell greatly, and pride was the culprit, and I think that that's a part of where the wisdom comes from with his remnant, is watching what happened and learning from that. um the enemy's tactics, nothing is new, so every single one of the enemy's tactics can be found in scripture, and you can find his angles and his ways about things. And so reading and looking in the kings and stuff and watching those falls, like that King Saul himself as well, um yeah, study out the enemy's tactics so that way we can prevent that from happening to us as we're going into world changes and going into the times that we're walking into. It requires us to be super diligent and hyper focused. Like Haley was reading the word just a second ago, disciplined, and it seemed so insignificant, but that word is so significant for us because if King Saul could fall, we could fall. We're blessed that we've got that hindsight. We're blessed that we have this entire book that can show us the enemy's tactics if we decide to look in and find it and be proactive around it. And that's what scripture is here to show us as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's also like King David called a man after Yahweh's own heart. And what does he do? He Bathsheba and kills Uriah. I mean, again, women. No, it seemed to be the downfall. I mean, not that I'm blaming women. It's a joke, but it's yeah, I know. Like, I think you meant you meant King Solomon, not Saul, because that Saul wasn't known to be a wise king in my books that I remember.
Sorry, you are right. I did mean that. But either way, he still made it the king and pride still took over and still,
Oh
you
no, I
know, was
understand,
still
but
the tactic.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
thought you
yeah.
meant Solomon
I did.
instead of
I
King
did
Saul.
at the time. You're right.
Okay. Okay, thanks for contributing, Jacqueline.
All right. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Yes, Kim. Sinette?
Ah, yes, we're having a giggle here. He doesn't want to speak. Just based on what Gur was talking now and Jackie, if you go to Proverbs 6 and you go read from verse 16, these six Yahuwahs, seven are an abomination to him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands shedding innocent blood. A heart devising wicked schemes, feet quick to run to evil. A false witness, breathing out lies, and one who causes strife among brothers.
Mm.
That just came to me.
Mm-hmm.
That proud is one of the things that Abba actually hates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, pride was the undoing of Lucifer. Seems to be very consistent. So,
Yeah. Pride comes before the fall. That's what they say. Um, Ori asked,
I guess it would be wise for us to say then we should all be really, really, really searching out pride in our own heart and really be looking for it everywhere because the moment you think you're not prideful, bam, there's pride. So
yeah,
just really, really dissecting it because every single one of us has pride somewhere
yeah,
for sure. And
definitely.
it is the most destructive. So
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of how humble I am. That's
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually the one who says that they don't struggle with pride that has the most pride, huh? But yeah, that's good. Good points.
Something that we all say so often, and especially, I mean, people who have children. I'm so proud of my child. I'm so proud of him, and it's it's so wrong because one of the hates is pride. So we should actually say, I'm so thankful for the talent of my child. So thankful that they've done so well. We've got to be very careful what we confess over them and say pride because pride is one of the hates.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. I know I used to struggle a lot like with compliments. Um, I mean, I still do sometimes, I guess. It's hard to like receive a compliment sometimes, I think, because I don't want to feel like, oh yeah, whatever for the case. I just feel like I should, be more humble. And I know it's a fine line between like knowing that you have worth and value, and then like stepping over that line and thinking too highly of yourself. But it's hard to it's hard, yeah, it's hard to receive compliments sometimes. Jer.
when in compliments, I've tend to turn it around going, that's really amazing that you notice that, or you appreciate that type of workmanship, or you just you receive the compliment, you don't dismiss it, but you turn it around and you can also say, like not everybody notices that or has a keen eye or is sensitive to that, or like thank you so much for making note of that. So you're accepting the compliment and you're acknowledging their perception in giving it to you. And it's not a deflection, it's because you don't want to unnecessarily deflect it either. But it's a way that I find to receive people who genuinely really like what you do without it puffing you up.
Mhm.
Because I really admire people who can appreciate quality and beauty, and just like if someone says that Uriah's painting is gorgeous and they can describe it or something, then she can appreciate their ability to see the effort it took and the skill. So it becomes reciprocal, and it builds both up. So it's not like you just take the compliment and you keep it all to yourself. But there's always something more to build on, and both walk away. It's a win-win situation. So
Mhm.
that way you don't have to refuse the compliment, but just appreciate the mind and the heart that gave it. Just hope that helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Um, Yuri made a comment. Are you not, do you want me to read that, or I know you didn't want to speak. Let's see. I can't see it. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with the comment section on this end, but I can't read the full comment that Yuri wrote. Mm.
Want me to read it?
Yeah, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. I actually can relate a bit with compliments, Sadie. It feels strange sometimes because I've been negative around myself growing up. That when I receive one, I'm like, I said how because I said it in myself translating from Italian to English. But sometimes the many things that happen in my mind when I receive a compliment, I'm like, how do you see it? I don't even think myself about that.
Mm. Oh, so you're saying like you don't think that you I I think I know what you're saying. Um
Perhaps he doesn't relate to it. Like, how is this applicable to me? I'm not seeing what you're
Yes,
seeing. Is that
yeah,
what you
yeah.
mean,
yes,
Yuri?
yes. That's what I
Okay.
mean. That's what I mean. It's like it's not relatable to my actions and what I basically have done all throughout my life.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've struggled with that too. And I think sometimes it's like a just a lack of um self-worth or like identity, a lack of like understanding that you have worth and value and identity um from my own experience in I don't know, maybe that might be true for you. I don't know.
Could it be like a def a tactic of defense? I don't know how to say it, how to explain it. Like somebody compliments you, but you've been so negative around yourself growing up and everything that
Yeah.
you shine away from it even someone compliments you. No, uh, that's what I meant. Like.
Yeah, I think that's like rooted in just like not seeing your true identity and worth and value um in in the f- in yeah. Jer?
What came to mind is you could consider it, the people considered it a compliment, when they came up to Yahusha and called him good teacher or good master. And he says, why do you call me good? Like that's almost a compliment that they called him a good teacher. And then his response to it. I mean, I don't think Yahusha had any problem with self-identity or self-worth and stuff like that. So that just came to mind. I thought if anybody has any input on how that would have been perceived, because I think I don't know of another place where he was complimented like in the first person like that. There's stories about when he was young, he was so wise and teaching at 12 in the temple, and those are all compliments, but it wasn't in the course of a conversation, like a red letter part of the New Testament where there's back and forth and he responds and stuff. So just wanted to know, seems that we're talking about compliments. That's what came to mind.
Yeah. Um, Kim, do you have a comment on that or something else?
No, it's just, I think if you read the scripture, it says that we as believers and followers of Abba, that will be known by the fruits of our tree. And obviously, you do get devious people out there that give you compliments for some reason. But when a genuine person or a genuine believer or a gives you a compliment, is it not them recognizing the fruit of your tree and seeing the talent that you've got, and it's not a negative. I don't think it is. I think it's a positive. I think when somebody says to you, "How Haley, you sing beautifully," unless they've got a devious, there's a reason why they're saying it, because they want something out of you. But I mean, I think like, just for example, the people in the group, when they turn and say, "Haley, you sing really nice," I think they've seen the fruit of the tree, because it is the fruit of the tree, is it not?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yuri.
I just raised my hand because people are trying to join. I just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think it was Tina, and I saw another one comment, but I don't know.
Oh, I think I just got them in. Okay, yeah, they're here. Hi, Tina. I'm sorry. I hope you guys weren't waiting too long. I just noticed that. Jackie.
Jer, you were just talking about the rich man that went up to Yahusha and complimented he is good, and then Yahusha questioned what was good. What was very interesting in that same scenario is he was also asking to like what it would take to follow him. And he's like, well, you got to give up everything that you own, and he wasn't willing to do that. So I believe what Yahusha was doing at that time was calling out the heart of what that person actually views as good, because he viewed all of those riches more good than what Yahusha was doing actually in that part at that point, I don't know, maybe because he refused to actually walk away and follow him, walk away from those riches and follow him. So what was good in that point? So just to maybe give some light on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Anyone else?
Aurea put a message on. She says Yahushua received many compliments, but he always pointed back to Abba Yahuwah. He saw through the backwards compliments of the painted Pharisees and challenged them, but he took compliments and used it to glorify Yahuwah. Why do you call me good? There is only one who is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice. Um, all right. Tina and Chris, we've already finished all of chapter 6 and discussion on it. I know you guys just got here. I don't know if you've read it previously. Maybe you have anything that you want to share about it. Tina, go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually reading it while I was waiting to come in again. But there were some bits in there about the purple ribbon and the trying to find it. So verse 24, bring your feet into her chains and your neck into her chain, put your shoulder under her and bear her. Do not be grieved with her bonds. Come to her and all your soul. Keep her ways with your whole power. And it just made me think of the trials and everything, the testings that we get, and how it's about, I suppose, so that Lady Wisdom or the Ruach can kind of impart that information onto us, And to see, I think as well, in some ways, to see if we will bear that weight, bear that responsibility of that information is what kind of, I don't know if you've already said some of this, so forgive me, but it's what kind of stuck out to me. And then it goes on to say, search and seek, and she will be made known to you. When you get hold of her, do not let her go, which I think that is kind of the testing to some extent, is like, how much do you want to know? How much will you continue? I know I had a conversation similar to this with Jackie yesterday, and we were talking about certain people that just perhaps don't want to learn past a certain point, that they get to a point and that's where they want to stay. And, that's, and Yahusha, I would imagine, was fairly okay with that. That's their choice. And they don't have to continue. They have their free will. But, for those that really want to strive to know, and I don't mean strive in that kind of worldly sense, but just are willing to take that, well, for want of another phrase, that cross, bear it, take it on board, take the information. And then it says, for at the end, you will find rest and she will be turned into gladness for you. And that just, I'll be honest, from my own personal journey, I'm not saying I've finished my learning because I know I'm far from it, but I do feel like you do get periods of rest when you've gone through a specific set of testing and you've kind of matured in that level of elevation or whatever you want to call it. And that's what that stood out for to me. And her chains will be for a covering of strength. So it turns from something very testing, very hard, very heavy into a light, like Yahusha's light yoke, no burden, well, low burden and things like that. So even though we get tested and we get sort of pushed in this world, the yoke of Yahusha gets lighter and lighter as we learn. I think it's what stood out to me anyway as I was reading it. So
yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, we did touch on that, but I love the way that you communicated that. It's not something that wisdom is not something that we can like force on anyone. It's got to be something that each individual wants and pursues. And like just like the shackles and the fetters, it can feel like very restrictive or hard, as we go through the trials and things like that. But eventually it will become, something beautiful and something that we come to love. And yeah, so I love how you communicated that. Thank you. Mm. Anybody else want to share?
sorry, can I just add one more thing? And it was just really from my own personal journey.
Yep.
And I know I talk about this a lot, but like in the 12-step fellowships, one of the mottos is about I'm on a beautiful journey of recovery. And I'll be honest, when I first started my recovery, I really didn't see it as beautiful. It was a mess. It was hard. It was horrible. It was tears and snot and everything that goes with it. But now when I look back on that journey, a bit like with, the Ruach and the wisdom, it does feel beautiful. It does feel like, for want of another expression, an emerging out of that shell of this world kind of thing. And I think that's what that was referring to as well, really, with that. And I agree with you. It is more of a beautiful journey than you realize.
Yeah. Thank you. All right.
I think if we all like knew how smart it was to accept wisdom as a young kid, like it talked about in there. Like I look back and it was like so many times my grandparents said this and my parents said that, and I just didn't heed it. I didn't have reverence to it, or it just seemed like they were catastrophizing something. You know what I mean? But either way, like, and then now today, my son embracing some of the wisdom that I'm teaching, it's like, man, thank goodness he's breaking some curses, because, but that's where I really do see the value of the youth embracing the wisdom. And then that's where I and Jerry and we come in for our youth. And and raising them up, and that too. I think I was way off of what you guys were talking about, but
No.
I don't know, it made me think of that.
Yeah, I agree. Me and my sister were having a conversation yesterday about, she's trying to minister to one of her friends about, just sharing some of the things that she's learning and she's kind of got a little frustrated saying, why won't she just pick up the Bible and read it? And it's exactly what we're reading today. It's got to be something that they desire. You can't push it or force it on them. Um, but also, yeah, just remember where you were 6 months ago or to her, you're pretty new in the faith and you're you had you have this desire all of a sudden and you want to really get in and dig it, and so it's exciting for you and you're just wanting to absorb it all, but your friend, she's not in that same place, so you just got to be patient and just kind of, like we say, meet her where she's at and just wait for those opportunities to come up rather than just force it onto her. But Jer.
Just a few things. The one is like I think Tino talked about. We plant the seed, and the story is it lands on all kinds of soil, right? We're not the ones that create the soil conditions where the seed lands. And going back to I think what was Jacqueline saying about the why the young, it reminded me of the phrase, "Why is youth wasted on the young and wisdom wasted on the old?" And it seems like every generation struggles with this. Like, it's payback because when you were young, you didn't listen to your elders, and so when you get old, they don't listen to you. It's just a perpetual thing, and it's very sad, but very fortunate is the one who takes heed and appreciates their grandpa or something. You get the odd story, oh, my grandpa, like especially farmer type guys and stuff. I learned so much from my grandparents and the beauty of all this. And you can see it in their life because they have a genuine appreciation at a young age for the old ways and stuff. And so it
Yeah.
definitely is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Does anybody else want to share? Otherwise, we'll probably wrap it up now. All right, so I guess we can go ahead and close it up. Does one of our guys want to pray us out? Not to put the men on the spot, but does one of the men want to pray us out? No? Does somebody else want to pray us out?
I think Kim might be having his arm twisted there by Sonette. I'm not sure.
Do it. We
Tina,
got
I was over here mentally twisting your arm to try to get you to pray.
I will if you want.
all
I
right,
was
go
leaving
ahead.
it up.
I'm gonna let you
Okay.
since you just said you will.
Okay. Forgive me because obviously I'm not long joined, so it's a bit odd praying us out. But as always, Abba, we thank you for the opportunity to fellowship. Fellowship in your house is so fulfilling to all of us and so edifying, especially when we've got a safe group of people to be able to do that with. And we know, Abba, if we're patient and we wait on you, you bring us to that safe group of people. And particularly for those of us celebrating Shabbat today, to be able to fellowship on your Shabbats is something I've not always been able to do. So I am extremely grateful for it. And I thank you that the wisdom shared here through your work today is going to help all of us going forward this week, because we need your edification, we need your encouragement, we need our fellow brothers and sisters' encouragement. And we thank you for our brothers and sisters in this walk. Abba. We thank you for directing us to the right people, to the people that are of a similar understanding to us. We may not all believe exactly the same thing, but we are in unity, and that makes a massive difference when we're trying to learn things through the Ruach, through your wisdom, through new texts or things that we haven't read for a little while, and seeing a new light, seeing a new perspective from somebody else's eyes, Abba. And we know that we are all different parts of the body, so it helps to have those parts of the body connecting today, and able to shed that new light for us. I just thank you, Abba. We praise your wonderful and most glorious name today. Whether we're celebrating Shabbat or not, we praise it anyway. We praise it through any circumstance, through any hardships, through any trials and tests that we're going through, because we know that you are doing that to help refine us for the later times, the times that are going to be harder than these. And we're grateful for that unity. And I know that lockdowns were not a great part of most people's lives, but one thing that's really come from those lockdowns is the ability to fellowship with people from all over the world as if we're literally sat next to them through the platforms that you gave us during that time, Abba. It may look like the enemy was the one who brought in tech, but you made sure it was used for our good where we needed it to be. So we thank you for that. We thank you for everything today. And we pray that as everybody leaves this group, we take something away from it that we needed. And we all have a blessed, a Baruch day today in your presence, Abba, praising your name and resting fully in you. In Yahusha's mighty name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. That was beautiful, Tina. Hopefully I did okay for my first time, like just hosting the call. Thank you everyone who came. And I guess I could probably stop the recording, and if you guys want to fellowship for a little bit, I have a little bit of extra time if you guys want to. Otherwise, I'll just end the call. What do you guys think? Jer?
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about you're sharing with someone and getting frustrated about why don't they just pick up the Bible and learn and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, through the years, I also eagerly always, I called my whole family and I'm trying to tell them this is the greatest news in the world. And people are like, you lost your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've come to learn that it's a very simple phrase is I cannot want you to know the truth more than you want to know it for yourself. And so oftentimes we are the ones that want them to know the truth more than they want to know for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't work. But if you are patient and wait and look at it that way, you'll never try to be a Bible thumper or force anything down anyone's throat. Because I never try to persuade anyone to think differently than they choose or they're ready to receive.
Yeah.
And I just tell them that, well, you want to know the truth about it, but I can't want you to know it more than you want to know it yourself. And if you don't want to know it, that's cool. We're good. So I hope that helps
Yeah.
for
No,
not the
yeah.
frustration.
I had to remind her, I said, because she's fairly new to just, to the faith, and I have been not only praying, but like trying to persuade her for years. And so I had to remind her, just remember where you were at, and you thought that I was crazy and over the top, but now you're understanding more, and you're wanting to seek that out for yourself. So just had to remind her, keep that in mind. We're all at a different place.
I feel like we all did the same. The ones that came from Christianity when we first, received that saving grace, and we were all excited and wanted to share it and want everybody to have the same thing. It's the same thing, but now we have been awakened to the truth, and now it's to me it's worse because it's like really like I knew something was off. Now I know what was off, and don't listen to everything I told you before, but
I
now, so don't do that, but do this. But I don't know what I'm doing. Just do it anyway.
yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of things that I've had to, rewind. I was like, let's just forget about that I said before. We're we're taking a little detour back to the narrow, okay? Uh,
But it
so,
does give us an opportunity to relate because, yeah, I was there. I know what you're dealing with now. I know I sound crazy,
mhm,
but I was there too. But this is where I'm at now, and this is what I've learned, and this is where the Father is taking me. So I
mhm,
would like to bring you with me. And especially like I've tried to, the hardest conversation I have is with my mom. And my mom's hardcore Southern Baptist, King James Bible only. You know, my dad was the same way. And at the end of the conversation, I shared this in the men's group, mostly for Yuri because he was struggling a little bit with his parents. But at the end of the conversation, it was like, well, I'm going to pray for you because she done thought I done fell off my rocker. Like I lost it, which that actually hurt me because I'm like, don't feel like you have to pray for me because I'm lost. You know, I'm concerned for you, and here you are thinking that you need to be concerned for me. So it was kind of a, wasn't a very good conversation, which we're okay now. She just knows we don't do holidays, and we have different views, but we've always had different views because I branched out to like more of a non-denominational, um, charismatic Pentecostal kind of thing, way back when, anyways. And them being King James Bible only Southern Baptist didn't go over good either. So
mhm.
it's always been a roller coaster with them. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that a lot too. Also, in other ways, there's like, um, I've been able to connect like with more on some levels, like with my mom, for example, because she's kind of like, I think leans a lot more into like the new age side, not fully, but like she's super into like the law of attraction and like, energy frequencies, things like that, and which were all things that I was like very opposed to previously in the past, and I've really spoken against those kind of things to her in the past, but like just coming to understand, coming to like get a new understanding on some of these things from a biblical perspective, we have been able to like, bridge that gap a little bit at least. And I've been able to acknowledge like some of the things that maybe she wasn't wrong completely in. And also the same for her, like she's starting to like, you know, feel more of like get more of an understanding too from some of the things that I'm sharing. Um, we had a huge me and my family, we have this little Bible study chat on Facebook that we just talk back and forth about things, and me and my sister were doing a lot of audio texts back and forth just talking about lots of things in general, and my mom, she chimed in and said, "Well, I'm actually learning a lot just from listening to you guys like have conversations." So like yeah, seeds are being planted, and I think that being able to just understand each other, and the different perspectives that we have really just help kind of, bridge some of that gap and relate to one another. And Uriah said, no one can come to Yahuwah unless he draws them, and he is sovereign over when he calls to them. Yeah. I think the best thing that you can do is pray, honestly. She said, it's important to also remember that Abba sees the heart only and holds us accountable to what we know. Um, oh gosh. Somebody will have to continue reading that. I'm sorry. Tina, can you finish reading the comment and then I'll let you speak?
Yeah, so accountable to what we know, there are many people in the Christian church who display a beautiful heart before Abba, which I agree with. I've seen that too. even if they don't know Torah or the true names and all the things that we do. And many of these people are a Torah unto themselves, displaying more of a humble heart than many, and I'm going to do the air quotes, Torah keepers, because, and I agree with you, Oriya, that's exactly what I've experienced. And it's similar to what I was going to say a little bit more than that, but I've said this before, over the last couple of years in my closer walk with Abba, I've sometimes experienced more kindness from people in the Christian church than I have from supposed people that know Yahuwah's name and are Torah keepers. And unfortunately, that is because of, in my opinion, from what I see, a lot of that is the church hurt, the trauma that they automatically use to attack people that aren't of exactly the same mindset. And I think that's what I've learned in my walk when I first came in, and I think we've all touched on it. Yes, you get very excited. You want to tell them everything. And I used to be an IT trainer, and I can remember having a conversation with somebody once about how this lady who'd not done any training before wanted me to include everything that she knew about this particular system in like a 3-hour course. And I was like, it's just not possible. It's just not what happens. And you only train the basics at the beginning. And I think what I personally experienced was, for the first year, Abba was sending me things. Now, when I look back, was sending me things through YouTube and in sort of just download, I suppose you'd call it. I didn't realize that's what it was at the time. And it was really, really wonderful. But where I made the mistake in some ways, and I know it was meant to be like that now, but I ran to man's opinion on it. So after about, I think it was 6 or 9 months, I started to kind of look on places like Facebook for people that, I type in the word Yahuwah or Yah or whatever was going to generate some results. So I then start to follow those people, and the more information that came in, the more muddied the water got. And we get so excited and we want to share that. But what I wasn't doing, because I wasn't maturing at that point, I was baby, milk and everything. And I hadn't really read the Bible until 2020. So this was like 2021, 2022. So it was like completely new to me. And it was just a case of, I then started to take on other people's doctrine, and that was where things got really silly. And I'd be saying stuff to people, I'd be getting angry with people, and I'm not an angry person, so I won't say it was like outwardly angry, but in my head I was like, why are you saying that? Why are you doing that? And it's only been when I fully let go of a lot of groups and just walked with Abba, really, give or take, pretty much on my own over the last 2 years again, that he's brought me back, and coming into this group as well as kind of reconfirmed the things he was showing me that I needed to come back to not throw the baby out with the bathwater, I think is the best phrase I can use about it. And like you said, Haley, there's things that I would like be scared of and renounced and didn't want anything to do with, because they seemed like it was either Jewish mysticism or New Age. And actually, there's truth in everything. It's just you have to learn through Abba how to discern where the truths are and let go of the stuff that the enemy adds onto those truths. And that's when you're first coming out of the world and seeing all of that, you do desperately want to just grab everybody and bring them with you. And as we've discussed, that's just not possible. And I do believe that, because I truly believe that a lot of us in this group in particular are generational curse breakers, we have to do the learning first. We have to go through the rubbish first. We have to have the dross taken away first. And we want people to be with us on that journey, almost because it's kind of scary doing that. And I love that we've got couples on this group that are doing that together. And my only prayer really back then was that I'd have had that. But some of us aren't meant to have that. Some of us are meant to do this completely on their own. And I can't say I've always found it. Yeah, get the log out of their eyes first. Yes, I agree. You're right. We have to take the plank out of our own eyes before we start pushing it onto other people. And it's hard to do that, but it's true. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, yeah, you said it well. I had that same experience when I started to really come into like more of truth and discovering the names. I was like doing that too. I just typed in Yahuwah and just started getting into all these groups, and then same on TikTok. I just start following like different Torah followers and stuff, and it really clouded my understanding. And like you said, I started to take on some of their doctrines and stuff. And that's really dangerous to do. I think I heard one person talk one time about, who was it? I think it was somebody in our group. Maybe it was Yesenia. But she talked about like needing to have that time of isolation. Not that it should like go on forever, but you really need that time of isolation so that you can hear clearly and directly from the Father, and not be clouded by all these other voices. So that's really important. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Kim.
Just coming back to um, talking and preaching and trying to convince, especially our own family and friends, about what we've learned in that. And if you go to Mark 6, verse 4, but Yahushua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin and in his own house. So
Mm-hmm.
even he said that in your own place, where you in your own family, your own house, and that it's going to be difficult. You're gonna get a lot more and backlash than you would going out into the street and say talking to strangers. So
Yeah,
we've got to remember that even Yahushua said it for him going back to Jerusalem was difficult. He battled. So yeah, so we must just take what can we say? Take a bit of comfort from that and know that it's not going to be easy, but yeah, we've got to do it. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. Tina said, too much noise is the phrase I've heard when we chase other people's views. Yeah, definitely. Dust off your feet when the peace comes back to you. Yeah, that's all good.
On another note, I feel like it's a blessing, or I enjoy seeing like Yuri, and Christopher looks pretty young too. I don't know his age, but we need the next generation, because a lot of the people that I've seen social media and whatnot that's um, been awakened or is coming back to the truth are an older generation. And that's kind of, I've tried to reach out to my sister, which she's only a couple years younger than me, but um, I feel like the younger generations really need it more too. And you try to reach out to them a little heavier, which, like Orion said, it's not up to us anyways. All we can do is plant the seed. But
Mhm.
I guess kind of have a heart for the younger generation to try to sway them away from all the mess that we've been, indoctrinated into. And it's funny because the more I learn, the more truth that I've, come to realize, the more that you see how people just cherry pick what they want out of scripture, which I guess I did the same thing too when I was in it. And it's just like, well, this means this, and this is why we do this because, the Bible says this. Yeah, but you need to read the whole thing, not just that little bitty snippet of what benefits you. And I see that a lot. And I know it's out there because I used to do the same thing,
Mhm.
about eating clean and not eating pork. And it's just, you try to find answers. Oh, well, that little bitty sentence right there says all we need to know. But
Mhm.
that's not how it works. So, but I just feel like it's important to get this next generation.
Yeah,
So it's not up to me. So
yeah. And prayer is so powerful. Like I say it a lot, like, but like I've been praying for my family. Like when I say family, I mean my mom, and I have two sisters, and my brother. And my brother is he's in the Christian faith, but my other two sisters, they've never really been receptive of anything in the faith. So for years I've been praying for them, and it just seems like in this last year or less, they've really just started coming around, and they've been, asking me more questions. And even my mom has been really intrigued about a lot of what I've shared about the Holy Spirit and wisdom and stuff like that. So I just feel it's prayer because it's nothing that we can do or say or nothing. It's the Father pulling them, but our prayers, they make a difference. They make a huge difference. Um, so just stepping in and interceding for them. So yeah, I just always advocate for that. Just pray, keep praying for your family. Yuri.
I hope I go not too long with what I'm gonna say, like the vocal messages I've been doing lately. I hope not. But first of all, I'm 25, Jerry. Just for your information, I'm gonna be 26 years old on the 21st of August. But even when I first started this walk, I was like getting overwhelmed with you gotta do this, that, and that, and it was mainly so of myself as well because I'm like a saying in Italy that says everything or nothing, and could be on the other side or on the other side with any argument or anything. So it didn't really help when I started telling my friends this, that, because I'm pretty sure I did more damage rather than help for them because they're basically atheists. I'm pretty sure one of them, as I said in the testimony group about the dreams he's having, I'm pretty sure he believes more in Satan and that, rather than Yah, which is really sad about it, but I will still pray for him about it. But I'm pretty sure I did even more damage because of the fact that I was like, you gotta do this, that, and saying things for them that were crazy, like the earth is flat, I gotta do this, that. And they even questioned because one of my friends was really interested. He's like, I like that you believe this, and I just ask you questions just because. And I tried explaining to him, but it didn't really help. And now, and even as this journey was going on and everything, I read my Bible now, and I see so many things that I didn't see before, and I'm like really surprised and grateful about it. And then even I forgot what I wanted to say. Maybe it will come back. I will for now mute myself.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's good. Yeah.
Now I gotta remember what I was trying to say there. Anyway, but it came back to me. What Jerry was talking about, the scripture that came to mind says the prophetic, in the last days, men will gather about them a great number of teachers who will tell them what their itching ears want to hear. He's talking about cherry picking verses and stuff like that. And that's probably been particular or consistent throughout history, cherry picking. But because there's a specific prophecy concerning that phrase, it probably more prevalent now than it, or the last days than it ever has been. Just I mean, how many, 47,000 Christian denominations? Like that's, I can't even conceive of that, that many different, denominations. But anyway, so that's just, I want to share about that prophecy. I'm sure you're all aware of it. It just came to mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kim?
You were talking about praying for your family and your sisters and things like that. And Sanit and I obviously prayed for our son. We prayed for both our children, our son and our daughter. But in probably the last 2 years,
Mm.
more and more, my son has said this, that it was our example, Sanet and I's example
Yeah.
of how our marriage went and
Mm.
um, how we loved Father and our dedication to Abba and following the Sabbath and things like that. That convinced him, and so it was the fruits that Sanet and I were showing more. Well, I'm not going to say more than prayer, but that was enough to say to him, I want to be like that. And even now with his wife, he constantly, whenever we go out there, he always says to us, I just want to be like you two. I want our relationship to be like your relationship, in every way. So, just that example is also sometimes just brings across so much, and praying in that always, I mean, you have to pray and you have to do what you can. But being an example is also what people look at. And I mean, a lot of times you get people that walk in the room and you just say, wow, what has this person got? Just there's something, and that is the fruit, that is the ruach, that just so like a lighthouse shining out of them. So sometimes we just have to be the perfect example or the good example for them to just see that it's not a show, it's not a face mask you're putting on. That is who you are. You know what I mean? And eventually that breaks through as well.
And Kim,
Yeah.
on to that too, I think there's a high level of importance with the level of consistency behind the example that you set as well.
Yeah. Tina, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you just said, Kim. I've been showing the same thing. And the other thing that I really have had to do with my son, who's now 16 and in that kind of pushback phase of his life, is one, be that living, well, in my program, we call it a living amends because of the not so great job I did before coming back to Father. And being humble enough to show to my son that we're human and we do make mistakes, but that we can change. And I've gone through a phase of making verbal amends with him, which he discounts, to be honest, a lot of the time now, but I'm hoping it'll come back as he grows and realizes why it was worth doing that. Because one, it is that kind of, it frees me from the bondage of the guilt of that, and it allows me to forgive myself for that. But also it shows him that, that bravado of teenage, I'm always right. I don't have to apologize. Why do I need to do, that kind of stuff? And he's not like that very often, but I just see that kind of mask on him sometimes. So being able as an adult to go, I messed up in the past and I shouldn't have done that. And I shouldn't have said it in that way, or I shouldn't have, or I should have showed you more of Yah back then and shouldn't have scared you with it when I first came to it, because I know I did that too. And that was through my own fear, like, I need him to be saved. I need him to be saved, yeah. And like you've said, Haley, it's prayer that does that, not scaring your child with whatever you can throw at them. But being able to make amends for that, being able to apologize for that, but also still, like Jackie was saying, keep a consistent level of, this is how I am now, doesn't mean you're going to get away with everything. Because that's the positive side for most teenagers, oh, well, you're a bit softer now, Mum, than what you were a few years ago. You're probably not going to tell me off as much. Well, that's not what I'm doing it for. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't need to be as harsh as what I was back then. And for whatever reason, I was doing it. So I think, we've joked in the chat about Yuri's age, but that's only, less than 10 years between Yuri and my son. And I'm sure, Yuri, if your parents, I don't know what they're like, but if they were being consistently showing a loving side to you, things might be a little bit different as you grow up, as you were growing up. I don't know, but I just know that that's how it seems for my son, and that's what Abba keeps showing me and the consistency is a massive thing. So, yeah.
Oh, I was on mute. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I was also really harsh on my on my kids, especially when they were younger, regarding like the faith beliefs and stuff. But as they gotten older and as I've grown also, I really been learning, just to trust the Father in the path that he has for them because just even reflecting back on my own journey, I didn't come to faith until I was like 26, 20, I don't know, something like that. And um so yeah, I just have to keep reminding myself that the Father has it under control. He will use whatever ups and downs, their shortcomings and everything to bring them to a place where they're ready to um just call on the Father, I guess. So yeah, just constantly reminding yourself that Father is in control. Yuri, go ahead.
Yeah, about my parents and everything. I would just say that obviously we're not on the same road we're walking to. But one thing that I would really say about my parents that I really like is the fact that they love me so much, even though I did so many wrong things while I was growing up. I don't want to even say to them things that I did because I did when they were not at home. And I'm not gonna name them because they're really embarrassing. But yeah, it's like even the fact that my dad said to me, "I trust you 100% and everything." I'm like, when he said that in my head, I'm like, how do you trust me 100% when so many things that I did were, it's like, how do you trust me? Like, it's so much mercy from my parents that I should be more grateful about it. It's pretty amazing and everything. That's one thing that my parents like grew me up with so much love and everything. And even though we're not walking in the same road, I do admit that I really like hugging my parents. I like just when my mom comes in my room, even though I'm in my room sometimes all day and everything, I like show my arms open to her and like we give each other an hug, and it's a pretty beautiful thing. I don't know how many people can relate to this in this group, and I don't want to be bring bad memories about it because how you grew up with your parents and everything with everything. But I just wanted to share that.
And that'll definitely mean more to you when you have your own children.
Yeah, about having children. We're gonna see. I'm really shy talking to a woman, so it doesn't really help that. I'm really shy when I meet people for the first time, so we're gonna see how it goes.
Wait, Yuri, hold on a minute. I think I heard something, and Jerry think he said, did you say you have a girlfriend?
No, I actually don't.
Oh, you
I never
don't.
had a
Okay.
girlfriend. I was
Oh.
like when I was 16, I was chatting with someone, but I messed up so badly in my head that I'm like I'm not ready. I'm really not ready.
It's hard.
Haley, Haley, say you're on mute. Sweet, I think you were trying to say something.
Oh, I don't even remember now. Yeah, it's probably wise not to pursue a girlfriend until we're really ready to commit and know and like are firm in your faith and have that foundation so that you know how to properly seek out like the a a, a godly, or if you will, wife.
Well,
Um,
even then, I think being that wife or being that husband is a high calling too, and it's a tough one, and um, there's some preparation that comes in that.
yeah, definitely. Kim.
Me. In Dutch, we've got a saying, elke pot het sy deksel, meaning every pot will have it, the lid will fit on the right pot
Can
that you're
you say that
cooking.
again?
Okay, so in Dutch, we've got a saying, elke pot het sy deksel. So in English, if you can translate it, is every pot has got a lid that will fit. So if you find the right person, the lid will fit on the pot.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. That's a good saying.
So Yuri, don't be shy. I love Italy, by the way. It's a country that I really have a lot of respect for. But yeah, you will get your
You'll meet your belladonna.
you'll meet your belladonna, that's it.
Seems the Dutch have a lot of sayings, just saying.
Yeah, they
Thanks
do.
for
They have a lot of
thanks,
sayings. They do.
thanks for sharing them. Dutch wisdom.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be the pot or the lid?
Well, that's
Well,
opening a can of worms, I'll tell you there.
The men are supposed to be the head, right? So I'm thinking the lid, but pass.
Yeah, look, it also you can revert it back to size. So the pot, the lid. I don't know, and I'm not gonna. I'm on very hollow ground here.
I wanted to read, Oria put a comment saying, Elizabeth, John's mother, never stopped praying for a child. She never stopped, even into her old age. Her heart never lost hope and trust in Yahuwah, that faith made the way for Abba's miracle in her life. Amen. And she said, if a wicked king can give a woman justice because she nagged him, how much more will Abba what we pray for him for in faith when we continually bring our desires before him. Amen. Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly.
I do sometimes wonder if Abba sits up there thinking, "Oh, all right, just stop asking."
Yeah.
But no, I know he doesn't. I know he doesn't. I'm just joking, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other comments that need to be read? I think it was Jackie said, Yah told me he gives me the desires of my heart. So praying heavy for this one. Would be great to meet you in person. I'm so thankful for of us being able to get together. Me too. Me too. And I'm believing for it. Sometime this year, I'm gonna make it to. We're gonna have a gathering. All right.
Bobby's been unmuted and then he goes muted and then he's unmuted. So
Speak,
Bobby,
Bobby, speak.
I don't know. My phone's messed up. So it goes muted and unmuted and muted again.
I just
Does that
thought
work?
you had something to say and
Nah,
we keep talking over
I'm
you.
just listening to you guys. I'm just listening and agreeing and stuff. I got really not much to say. I'm not much of a talker.
I think the phone wants you to talk, Bobby. That's what it is. I think
I
it wants you
No
to
guess. I
say.
way.
guess. I'm sitting there just like nodding the whole time. Well,
I think Bobby's a lot like me. He's a two ears, one mouth kind of guy.
yeah. I'll just.
I know I wanted to read some of Oriel's comments because I know she can't really speak. I see one that starts with encouragement for parents, but I can't see the whole message. If somebody could read that.
I can read it. Encouragement for parents in that you don't have to be perfect. I think this might have been in response to what I was saying because it seemed to pop up just after. So, but giving your children love will cover your mistakes and shortcomings. Your children will be better off receiving love rather than pretending to be perfect, as parents, pretending to be perfect and having all the answers. Yeah, I agree. Well, it says, doesn't it, that love covers a multitude of sins.
Mm-hmm.
Be that in our love for our parents, our love for our children, and them honoring us and things like that.
Yeah. I think one thing that I struggle with, and it goes back to, again, I just have to keep reminding myself that Abba is in control. But, my two sons, I have one who's 22 and he's never taken on to the faith. Like I think when I was a little bit younger and new to the Christian faith, I was really hard in the sense of like being legalistic like about like everything, and I would get I'd just not be nice sometimes. But as he's gotten older, I think because of that, he's just never really been drawn or had any interest in faith or church or anything. But my younger one, he really has a heart for the Father. He's always been like all about like when we do Bible studies or I share things and we have great, beautiful conversations. And I think it's because, just really just relaxing and like, gaining new perspectives and heart posture and things like that. But as he is getting older, he's 17, about to be 18, and me like having even more of an understanding on Torah and things like that. I pray for him. I'm like, don't let him, go out into the world and just like forget everything because even though we have some beautiful, great conversations, like there's other times where he's just like not that interested. Like he doesn't care necessarily about not eating pork, which is, kind of trivial, but I'm like, it just things that I still have to learn to relax on a little bit and let him come to those things. But like also Sabbath, he just doesn't he's so preoccupied with sports and things like that. And I have a hard time because I am unequally yoked. So me and my husband, we kind of have an agreement, like if we don't see eye to eye on something, then we have to, leave it up to him, my son, to decide because he is like almost 18. So he needs to be able to make his own choices. So I can't like tell him you have to stay home on Saturdays. Like you cannot, and that's hard. That's hard for me. Um, but I just have to trust that Father will draw him even closer, and won't let him drift too far away, if that makes sense. And I don't know if that's the right way. I know some people probably might think that, being the parent, I have to like enforce or be stricter. But I don't know. That's just where I'm at. Tina.
Sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't unmuted. I agree with you. I used to be very controlling and very lay down the law, and even before I came back to ABBA, just in general, not just about Torah or anything like that. And when you were talking, Haley, it reminded me of the proverb as well. Bring up a child in the way, and I can't remember the end of it. Is it something like he will come back round to it? And the one thing I'm always reminded of in scripture, particularly in the Tanakh, a child is still classed as a child in the way Yah looks at particularly things like battles and wars until they turn around. I think it's 20. So I think of that in terms of children and us covering them and us. I mean, I suppose the way you were talking, Haley, it reminded me of Abba. He doesn't force us to do anything. We make our own choices, and we're his children. So I personally don't think it would. Yeah, that just made me smile too. I'm sorry, I was just seeing your comments. I don't think we are meant to force in the way I know when I grew up. My dad's Catholic, and the phrase "spare the rod, spoil the child" was used as a reason for punishment. And I've realised since then that wasn't how. I don't believe that was how Abba intended it. So I don't think you're wrong in that. And that's where I'm trying to change and not have that controlling mechanism. There was something that happened the other day actually, and my son's dad texted me and said I can't force him to do it. And for a split second, I was like, why can't you? And then I was like, oh, you're right, you can't. I mean, even though he's 16, ultimately, I can't. None of us can force anyone to do anything. And to do that actually is quite. I've realised, and from my own childhood, is quite harming.
Yeah.
it's not that we don't discipline, we don't show discipline, and we don't, like we're talking about consistency, but and we explain when they've done things wrong and what to do. But I think sometimes scripture's been twisted in the past to try and use control, like we know in religion, to use control and to
Yeah.
force people down particular roadways that we were never meant to go down. So
Yeah. Like you said, we raise our children in the way that they should go. But also, as they get especially older into their teen years, we really have to give them that room to make their own decisions and give them room to make mistakes and learn for them. If we're holding on to them so tightly, they're not going to learn from that. And actually they can probably even rebel or come to like really, um, I don't want to say hate, but you know what I mean? Um, hate you for
resent.
that. Resent you for that. And the song, that lyric just popped in my head. Hold on loosely, but don't let go. But so it's kind
It's
of that.
a hard concept though. I really struggle with that, and I get that from Abba quite a bit. It's like just loosen the grip, and I'm like, but I don't know how to loosen and not let go. How do I
Yeah.
do this? And I often ask that. How do I do this?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, and it is. I was thinking about, and again, I think to stop me condemning myself, Abba tries to remind me of the times, even though I wasn't with him when my son was very young, of the good things that I did teach him, the ways of being kind to people, looking out for people. Particularly in my case, I have an affiliation with like the elderly, and I worked in adult social care a lot in the UK with over like 60s, and I think teaching a child those kind of basics, even though it's not rooted in Torah as such, it's still a bit of a foundation. And I will say, thankfully, my son is one of those people that does pay respect a lot of the time to his elders. Yes, he's got that boundary pushing thing at the minute, but I don't know many, there isn't any teenagers from what I can gather that don't go through that. So it's just having that hope, like you were talking about, and prayer that when they get to a point of more maturity, that they will. And I know I did. I know I came back round to like Jackie was saying as well, and somebody was saying, you remember all the things that your grandmother said to you, or your mother said to you, or your father said to you, and eventually, when you've gone through your turbulent phases, you come back to that. And it's the same for us. When I know I was shown stuff now when I look back from the Ruach that I completely disregarded as a teenager, because why would you want to spoil your own fun? But then you realize later and you look back and you're like, oh, that's why I felt like that before I went to that party or whatever it might have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Yuri, did you still want to say something?
I actually wanted to say that in general, you can't force anything. It actually backfires on you most of the time because it really doesn't help. Even the way you speak things about, I can make a really good example with my parents. I was like, let me just tell my parents being honest and be calm as possible. And it actually really helped because we talked about some things that I believe, what their conviction. They have their own conviction. I have mine. My mom has hers, and everything. And when after those conversation ended, I'm like, I could have been just calm and honest instead of forcing things to my parents, saying to them, I want to do this, force things and everything. Most of the time, when you're calm and everything, obviously, some people are gonna persecute you, but it still helps to be not forcing anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to the scripture about training your kids in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it.
Hmm.
And I've always said, right or wrong, I don't know, that we don't raise our kids to be good kids. We raise them to be good adults.
Hmm.
So that's I prefer fur kids now. I just put them in the crate and call it good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. We are what 2.5 hours almost. That's good. I was worried that I was gonna be like so nervous I was just gonna rush through everything. And well, we did get through the done with the study part a little bit early, but I actually found that I was a lot less nervous just having the free conversation than I was actually like going through the text. Maybe I just feel like a lot of pressure. Uh, so I like wrote a bunch of notes and I felt like I was just reading way too much rather than just letting the thoughts flow. But hopefully it was okay for the first one. And are you guys ready to wrap it up?
I think you did great, Haley, and I definitely appreciate you still having the class with us together and also too just the freedom to open up. And it was really funny too because I got scrambled on notes and was trying to read through notes instead of just being present what I was saying too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of weird. But thank you. And I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the fellowship afterwards with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Thank you for praying, Tina and Jackie at the beginning. And we will see you guys. Well, we have a prayer call on Monday. I think Sandra is going to lead a prayer call on Monday. I'm sorry, I can't recall the time at this time, but it's in the announcements. And then on Thursday, this coming week, we will meet again here on Zoom for our Pesach fellowship. So, all right. We will see you guys next time.
Shabbat shalom, all.
All right.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.